Okay, so here we are, and we're going to go out and do some distributing of creation calendars and NEV New Testament Bibles in the town centre of Crawley. It's not a brilliant day, I've got to say. It's pouring with rain, but last time we did this, the rain worked really well. People were all walking along under cover, so it was easier to get things into their hands, and they were surprisingly receptive. So I think we'll still give it a go. So what have we got today? So these are the NEV New Testament Bibles. So we've taken 3 packs of those, and then just down here, look, these are the calendars, the creation calendars. Got a few spare ones over here. So the idea with these is very much beautiful calendar, lovely pictures, wrapped in plastic, given the weather conditions. And inside each one of them, we've got a little leaflet as well, inviting people to get in touch, to get hold of more Bible literature, various booklets, and also their own copy of the Bible. We found that worked really well when we did it in Horsham and in Worthing and in Crawley on a previous occasion. So back in the spring, doing some Bible handouts in Croydon, we shifted probably 250 New Testament Bibles very quickly, just an hour or so, involving Duncan, myself, and Evia, David and Daniel. So that was a good result, and we'd like to try and do something similar today. So we're going to head out into the beautiful British early winter weather. And you can see it's pouring with rain, but with God's blessing this will all work. So let's give it a whirl. Now this is a really crucial piece of kit that we need to make sure we take. These are the wheels. There we are, the wheels for carrying boxes, because I've got to tell you that a large box of calendars or Bibles or anything like that, it actually is quite heavy, and I think I've already strained my back this morning just putting those in the car. But there we go, I'm sure we'll be fine. So car full, ready for action. Let's go and find some people to share these things with. So here we go then, heading out of Ashington on a lovely rainy wintry day. Almost feels like Christmas is around the corner, and I'm just hoping and praying that the good folk of Crawley will be out in their droves doing their shopping, their Christmas shopping. We're going to do this between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock today. Find that it generally works best to set a very specific period of time, 2 hours as an absolute maximum. You say that doesn't sound like much, but believe you me, that is quite long enough. In fact, I would say that doing a 15-20 minute shift of standing and handing out is that's a big deal actually. Get that done and you've made a big commitment. So I tend to say let's do it for 2 hours, set a start time and a finish time. If people arrive during that period, then that's really great. If they're there for the whole time, well, that's even better. But do you know what? If people drop in for 20 minutes, it just takes the pressure off, helps share it around a bit, and that's really helpful. One of the really interesting things is trying to find a good spot to give out your bits and pieces. So what's a good spot? I think the big issue sellers have probably got this all sewn up. They know the places where there's a lot of people travelling past, and they're probably in a more receptive frame of mind. So I'm just going to say that in Crawley, in Queen Square, the central square, the open air square, there is a Costa Coffee, which is great. So we can meet there, we can warm up there, we can get a hot drink there. There's some tables outside, which makes it even better for organising our materials and what have you. But the other thing is that just across the square, you've got Poundland, and then a little bit further along there's Argos, there's Marks and Spencer's, and I think there's even maybe a Sainsbury's or something. And then the other way, there's a row of bus stops, which is just fabulous. So you've got captive audience. You go along the bus stop queue, and you can get a lot of interest because people are just waiting for the bus. What else have they got to do? And in my experience, actually, we all agree on this. If the first person that you approach in the bus stop is positive, then that's good. If they take something, there's a very good chance that other people will as well. If they're not, if they're negative, if they say, "Oh no, not for me," then the best thing to do is to walk away, because if you go to the next person, they'll say the same as the first person all the way down the queue. We all are social beings, we're group animals, we tend to be led by others. So if you get a no at the beginning of a group, definitely walk away and then come back a couple of minutes later and just try again, maybe from the other end of the queue. And we found that really, really helps. So a lot of people are quite happy to take Bibles, calendars, literature, whatever. They're entirely happy to take it. But if somebody else isn't, it'll put them off and they'll be in a negative frame of mind. So that's just a thought. Okay, so the hat's come off. That does not mean it's stopped raining. It's still pouring down with rain out there, but the car has warmed up, so that's quite nice. I think quite often people say, well, what am I going to say if somebody asks me awkward, difficult, challenging questions? And that was something I definitely worried about before I started doing this. The reality is that most of them do not have a difficult question lined up for you. The reality is that most of them aren't even thinking about anything like that, and the biggest challenge they've got is thinking how to say yes or no to receiving what you're giving them. If every 1 in 100 you might get somebody who has something interesting and challenging or maybe just interesting to say, and I actually think that's great. So you get a chance to have a little chat. Let's be realistic. They're chatting to somebody in the street. The weather may not be ideal. They were busy doing something else. They do not want a great long debate. So you could certainly engage them, have a discussion, share some positive thoughts with them, and encourage them to get in touch by email, online, whatever, but encourage them to get into their Bible and have a look and see what it says. So I have not felt any hostility, any difficulty whatsoever. To some extent I'm almost disappointed because I wanted to test myself on that, but it really just doesn't seem to be the case. Most people actually, probably 2 out of 3 will say, do you know what, I already have a Bible, thank you very much. No, I have enough calendars. They're very polite, they're very civilized, it's all okay. 1 out of 3 will probably take a calendar or a Bible. 1 out of 3, that's over 30%. That's 33%, isn't it? And I think that's great. I think that's fabulous. Just by standing there and putting yourself out there, you're guaranteeing that every third person will probably take something from you. Now, to be honest, you do need to encourage them. If you just stand there with it in your hand, maybe 1 in 10, 1 in 20, 1 in 30 might take it from your hand. If you actually offer it to them and say, would you like to take this free calendar or free Bible, they're far more likely to take it. If you engage them, a bit of eye contact, a big smile really, really helps. And in our experience, that really helps to make it work. I know lots of people have done this lots of times before. It really isn't new, but I just think by sharing our experiences and how we found it, we can encourage each other and maybe find better ways of doing it to get in touch with even more people. I'm slightly worried that I look like the blobby man here in my yellow waterproofs, but I think the weather today makes them a necessity. So, hang on. Right, so that was a red traffic light. Hey ho. About the Bibles, the Little New Testaments, the NEV Bibles are very much appreciated, and I'm going to say something about the study Bibles in just a moment. Okay, so I just love that. I'll stop the video then because there's a message came in on the phone, and that's what I love about doing these activities. So I knew some people were going to be joining today in Crawley, but just got a text message there from somebody else asking what time is it, can I come, can you give me a lift? So yeah, of course I can give you a lift, but that's a 10-minute pickup from now, so I'm just going to do a little detour and that has swelled the ranks of workers nicely, so that's good. And just talking about that, we all know that getting a date in the diary is really important. So setting a date early, being really clear about timings. I thought I was, but apparently not as clear as I could have been. So I tend to do announcements at the meeting. I do emails, and I did print some handouts, but unfortunately I didn't take them to the meeting last week. So that was a mistake, because if I'd have done that, then I wouldn't be doing this detour now. So plenty of information. Where is it? Where's the meeting point? What's the time period we're going to be doing it? What's the commitment? Is it 20 minutes? Is it 2 hours? Just be really as clear as possible so that people know what's expected of them. Don't forget the mobile phone numbers, really important, because last time we did it in Crawley, yeah, you guessed it, there's more than one Costa Coffee. So I'd said Costa Coffee in the main square, but even so, there are people that will find another Costa Coffee, probably one in the warm and the dry. So I do understand their logic. And we had the same in Worthing. We said Cafe Nero, and yeah, you've got 2 Cafe Neros in Worthing. So these are little practical details that can make a big difference to the success of the project. And I would really advocate giving as much detail as early as possible to help people find their way to joining in. So here we are, we've made it to Crawley. I picked up my buddy Andy, who's going to hopefully help out with this. A bit short notice, Andy, sorry about that.
That's all right.
We've got the trolley loaded up, ready to go, and the high-vis tabards, which are really useful. So off into the wet weather of Crawley, and we can see if we can find some more helpers and hopefully some willing recipients for our magnificent calendars and Bibles.
Last week, there'll be lots of willing recipients.
You reckon?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Should be.
Absolutely.
The run into Christmas, let's hope so. Okay. So here we are, we've made it to the magnificent Costa Coffee, and slightly out of the rain. We've got all our materials ready to distribute, and just waiting for some helpers to come along. Oh, here's one, it's Andy. And Andy, last time we did this in Crawley, how did it go for you? You were giving out Bibles, weren't you?
Yes, and I had a lot of, well, say lot, had several people who were actually really happy to take them.
Yeah.
A lot of people took them anyway, but 1 or 2 really were appreciative.
What, actually had a bit of a chat about what they thought about
it?
Yeah.
And somebody chased after me and said, oh, I want one as well, please. And then sort of wanted to know why I was giving them away.
It was really good in Horsham. Colin was giving out New Testaments at one end of the town, and he was sending people up to us to get the full study Bibles, because they said, actually I want the whole Bible, I don't just want the New Testament, which was a great thing to see. Really good. So we'll see how we get on today in lovely sunny Crawley.
It's a bit drafty today.
Slightly drafty. So we're doing pretty well. It's just coming up to midday. We've been going for about an hour. So Andy, and we also had Jeremy and Tina, Russell and Dawn, and also Roz. So nice turnout. I'm stood here outside the betting agents, which is slightly surreal, but it's working. So managing to give out plenty here. It remains a very wet and rainy day, but do you know what? That keeps people under the covered walkways, and that's a great place to give things out. So how are we doing? Well, if you look just down here, we had a load of boxes stacked on there, and we're just down to the last few now. So we're going to keep going and see if we can move those last few calendars and keep going with the New Testaments. Got to be honest, the New Testaments are a bit more of a hard sell today. The calendars are flying out, they're in plastic bags. The Bibles are wrapped in plastic, but I don't know, people just seem to be busy heading into the shops at the moment and not coming back out. And maybe after lunch it might go a bit better, but we'll wait and see. So yeah, good progress so far. So there we are. That's the last of the calendars. Box is empty. So there's just a few I've got left in the bag. Still New Testaments. We had a lot of those. They are going. People are interested. So keeping those going. I probably should have brought more of the whole Bibles. People are asking for those, study Bibles. But the good news is that in the back of the New Testament, there's contact details. So hopefully they can apply for one that way.
Thank you very much, sir.
How's it going?
Very good, thank you.
All good?
Yeah, it's not too bad.
Not too bad. How are you doing, Andy?
All right.
Yeah, gone well?
Yes, I've got rid of all mine so far.
Listen, there's one more.
Ah,
You're frozen. It's quite
my
cold,
hands
isn't
are
it?
cold, yes.
Yeah.
So there we are, less than 2 hours and all done. So we think that we did just over 100 New Testaments and probably over 200, yeah, definitely over 200, nearly 250 of the Bible calendars, creation calendars. Quite a number of conversations, just brief conversations, which was really nice. It was pouring with rain, and yet people were happy to take the things that we were giving out. So prayerfully, we leave that in God's hands now, that those people are encouraged and feel the need to look into the Bibles and the gospel message. It's great. I love it. It's really good. Just to think of all those individuals that we had contact with, and that they have the opportunity to pursue God's plan. So I would encourage you to organise a little session in your local town along these lines. And as I say, I think it's the planning and setting a date and a time, and just having all the logistics in place to get the materials there at the right time can really help it. So I hope this has been useful to you. Thank you.